I just heard a crypto insider claim that stablecoins are about to make XRP obsolete. Basically, that my beloved XRP might be left in the dust. Now that sounded a bit crazy, so I had to find out more. Is Ripple quietly ditching XRP for stablecoins? Or is there something big that we're all just missing? Well, stick with me, because what I discovered turned my skepticism upside down. Now, if you are an XRP holder, or maybe just crypto curious, this story is going to hit close to home. Now, a few days ago, maybe about a week or so ago, a Solana executive dropped a bit of a bombshell on a podcast, saying that Ripple, the company that's behind XRP, is actually pivoting away from XRP and betting it all on stablecoins. Now, as someone who's been cheering on XRP for its cross-border superpowers, I had a moment of, wait, what? Did I hear that right kind of moment. Now, this is more than just token drama, isn't it? It actually taps into quite a huge question. Will stablecoins, those digital coins tied to fiat like USD, steal XRP's thunder in global payments? Now today, I'm going to take you on this journey down the rabbit hole, right, from panic to revelation, about XRP's future in a stablecoin-dominated world. And I promise you this, by the end, you're going to see why the battle isn't what it actually appears. And here's a quick reminder, we do have a free educational Discord where we chat about all this stuff. The link is in the description and you're more than welcome to join us there. So let's set the stage. This all started when I was watching the Paul Barron Network, a popular crypto show. And I heard the head of the product marketing at Solana Foundation basically throwing shade at XRP's future. Now, this guy was basically acknowledged that Ripple has had great success. True, Ripple has been killing it with some real partnerships, right? But then he claimed that Ripple is shifting focus away from XRP more towards stablecoins, especially after launching their own stablecoin called RLUSD. Now, he even pointed out something rather shocking here, that supposedly 90% of RLUSD's supply isn't even on the XRP ledger. In other words, Ripple launched a dollar-backed token and most of it actually lives outside XRP's network. Kind of ouch, right? But this guy, of course, is from Solana, so his job is to kind of, throw shade at everybody else whilst trying to distract them from, the fact that they can't keep the lights on. Anyway, this guy's take was that Ripple is sees the kind of writing on the wall and is scrambling to catch up with the stablecoin race. At least that's this guy's perspective. So at first, my heart kind of sank just a little bit hearing it, right? I'm thinking, wait. Ripple created XRP to be the bridge for cross-border payments, and now they're themselves focusing on a dollar stablecoin? ? Well, to me, that was a lot of XRP holders. That kind of sounded like your star player was getting benched, right? Well, this was coming from a Solana guy. So, it kind of has that sting of, is the competition seeing something that we're not, right? But hold on, because this story is way more interesting than just that, because the host, Paul Barron, didn't exactly buy the XRP is done narrative that Solana is peddling here. No, he quickly added that RLUSD already has nearly $1 billion of value just floating around. And you know what? That's not bad for a newcomer stablecoin, is it? Right? Now, Paul's view was that Ripple is not abandoning XRP at all. Instead, it is building a full-on financial infrastructure where XRP's ledger is a core piece of that. Now, in his words, if Ripple pulls this off, they might finally deliver on what they've been promising all along. And yes, he acknowledged that Ripple's had a pretty rough ride. I mean, we've got to remember the legal battle with the SEC and the generally hostile US crypto climate back then, right? But according to Paul here, this next chapter, incorporating stablecoins and expanding the ecosystem, could actually be a fresh opportunity for tokens with real utility, including good old XRP. And I guess to a degree Solana, if they can make sure that they stay online long enough, of course. The kicker is, though, that Paul mentioned that Brad Garninghouse's, Ripple's CEO himself, has also reaffirmed that they are not pivoting away from XRP as Solana would claim. So here I am, hearing one side say RIP XRP, right? Hello stablecoins. But the other side of the argument is saying no, XRP is still in the game plan. So my skeptical brain, it kind of went into overdrive. So at this point, I had to ask myself, could stablecoins really make XRP obsolete? I mean, on paper, it sounds plausible, right? Stablecoins like USDT, USDC, and now RLUSD, they do the same job of moving money across borders, minus the scary volatility, right? So if I send you $100 in a USD-backed stablecoin, it's going to be worth $100 when you get it. Whereas $100 in XRP, well, it might be $95 or $105 by the time that it arrives to you. Right? Stability is a pretty big selling point, right? And let's also be honest here. Many businesses and even regular people would prefer predictability for payments. So yeah, I did start to worry a bit here. Have I been betting on the wrong horse? Is XRP just a transitional technology that stablecoins or even central bank digital currencies are just going to replace? But before I go ahead and hit that panic button, I dug deeper. Right? And I stumbled onto insights from two people in the XRP community that flipped the perspective. Enter Brad Kimms from Digital Perspectives and Molly Elmore of, Valhill Capital. Now, these people who live and breathe crypto and economics, probably more so than this guy from Solana, and they actually had some counter arguments that would probably humble the most Solana hardcore fans. You see, Brad Kimms argued something super compelling. He said that every G20 nation and many others will end up issuing their own stablecoins or CBDCs, those central bank digital currencies, on the XRP ledger. So imagine that then, right? The US has one, Europe has one, Japan, Brazil, and everyone's got a digital coin, right? And we're already seeing this at the regional level too, with JP Morgan, Bank of America, and so forth, each having their own individual stablecoins. So if that does happen, well, you're going to suddenly have a whole bunch of different isolated digital currencies, right? And guess what? You still need a way to bridge between them all. And if I have a digital dollar, or if I have digital dollars and I need some digital euros, you're going to need an exchange or a bridge asset. Now, according to Brad, that is where XRP steps in as the bridge asset connecting all of these siloed currencies. It's not all currency pairs are liquid or even directly tradable with each other here. Try swapping a digital Indonesian rupee to, a digital Argentina pesos directly, yeah? It's not exactly a hot trading pair right now. But with XRP, that could be the natural go-to between them. Right, a common link that every currency could connect through. Now, in Brad's view here, when countries roll out their own stablecoins on the XRP ledger, it's actually bullish for XRP because initial usage creates liquidity and liquidity begets more liquidity, a positive feedback loop. More liquidity means XRP becomes even more useful and widely adopted. Now, Molly Elmore took a step back and asked the killer question. How do stablecoins solve a Triffin, or at least the Triffin dilemma then? Okay, so that's a bit of jargon right there, I know. So I promise that this is probably worth breaking down. Now, the Triffin dilemma is an old economic concept, but it basically means that you can't, or at least cannot be, the world's reserve currency and a domestic currency without a little bit of conflict, or just outright conflict. Now, there is an inherent mismatch between being a scarce, hoard-worthy asset and a day-to-day spending currency. I mean, think about gold versus the dollar then, right? Gold is a great store of value. People hoard it, it is scarce to a degree. But you're not buying your groceries with gold coins, right? It's just not practical, right? The US dollar, on the other hand, is used for daily transactions, but the US has to keep printing and managing the supply to serve the global demand, which creates a bit of a conflict. This is basically the Triffin dilemma, highlights in traditional finance anyway. Now, apply this concept to crypto. No single crypto has successfully been both the world's piggy bank and the world's pocket change at the same time. Now, Bitcoin, it chose to be the digital gold. So while it's great for hoarding value, it's not great for buying things. Well, anything with speed or low fees, that is. Ethereum tried to be both a valuable asset and the go-to platform for daily transactions. At times, that led to insane gas fees. I mean, who remembers paying $200 just to move $5 on ETH? I mean, I do. And yes, this wasn't fun. Even stablecoins, which are great for day-to-day stability, they come with their own trade-offs, don't they? They rely on trust in an issuer or a bank, that's centralization, and they're basically digitalized fiat, not a scarce reserve asset. So in short, every approach has to have some kind of compromise to it. So, when people claim sovereign stablecoins will make XRP obsolete, Molly's point is this. Those stablecoins are just digital versions of national currencies. They do not magically escape the Triffin dilemma. The fundamental issues remain. In fact, another investor responding to her thread actually said that stablecoins don't solve the problem. They only digitalize the problem. Exactly, right? You've got dozens of siloed currencies that need interlinking together. And if each country is holding tight control over its own coins, well, you're going to be looking for a neutral bridge that is not controlled by a rival nation. Enter XRP stage left, right? So this realization was kind of huge for me. Stablecoins are not XRP killers. If anything, they could actually be XRP's ticket to relevance on a rather massive scale. So it's kind of like everyone is building their own walled-off gardens, right? And XRP is just being the network of the tunnels connecting everything together. Or think of stablecoins as maybe different languages. One country speaks digital dollar, another one speaks digital yen, and another one digital euros. Well, you need a translator for them to communicate to each other. And XRP could be the universal translator in the global economy. A bridge asset, by definition, thrives when there are many different currencies to bridge between. The more digital currencies, stablecoins that pop up, the more bridges that you need. And consider this. Ripple creating RLUSD, their own stablecoin, might look like they're focusing elsewhere, but it could actually augment XRP's ecosystem. How? Well, if RLUSD runs on the XRP ledger, which it does, and gains some traction, it drives activity to the XRPL. If financial institutions are using RLUSD for settlements, then they're going to connect to XRP's network, making it much easier to plug into XRP as a bridge asset when needed. Ripple might be playing the long game here, offering whatever form of value, stablecoins, CBDCs, that gets big players into their own network, and then XRP is sitting there as the secret sauce for the interoperability when the time comes. After all, Brad Garninghouse isn't out there saying farewell XRP. He's doubling down that XRP still underpins their entire strategy. Okay, so now let's take a breather from the high-level stuff. Speaking of building bridges and finding new opportunities, I want to share a quick side quest that I've been on called Unity. Now, if you've hung out in our community, you've probably heard me mention Unity before. It's not the main focus of this video today, but it is a cool project that I'm personally testing, and it kind of shows how crypto is more than just some big coins. It's also about some of those grassroots innovations. So, what is Unity Nodes? Well, in simple terms, it's a project that is born from, I guess a child of World Mobile and Minutes Network, and they called that child Unity. It's where regular people like us, we run nodes on our everyday devices like smartphones and tablets, and we earn rewards for supporting their telecoms network. Now, think of it like this, mining or staking, but with twist, right? Because you're not just doing some meaningless kind of number crunching, you're actually doing useful tasks on their on that network for services, things like testing the quality of the local cell network, finding out if the call quality is poor or good, any downspots and things like that. And basically, you're getting paid for it in crypto assets. Now, I discovered this a little while back, whilst the idea was quite intriguing for earning some passive crypto without actually needing a huge mining rig or a whole ton of stacked capital, right? Or staked capital, I should say. Now, if that kind of felt, it did kind of feel like finding a little crypto life hack, essentially. Now, I'm going to give you my personal angle here. I purchased a Unity Master node, which came with 200 licenses. So that's just like 200 slots on my node to connect like mobile phones and tablets and things like that. Now, I'm not going to set up 200 devices straight away from day one. I'm starting small. I'm going to start with 10 phones that I've got lying around here just to see how things are going to go. If it accumulates as intended and as advertised on their website, well, great. If that trial goes well, I'll probably just scale up gradually. Now, the cool part is that you can choose to receive rewards in various different cryptocurrencies, not some new token that no one's ever heard of. So I'm going to set my payouts to things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, ADA, and of course, XRP. Why all of those? Well, Bitcoin and Ethereum are the big boys. Cardano, I'm into as well, and I think it's got a lot of promise, and of course XRP. Right now, I might have a slight attachment to it after even talking about it for 10 or so minutes on the channel. Jokes aside, of course, it's the way that I see it. Unity nodes could be a really nifty way to stack just more crypto passively over time. It's kind of like staking, but instead of just locking up coins in an account, I'm contributing to an actual network's operations. Now, this is not me saying that everyone just go out there and buy a Unity node right now. No, not at all. This is just an experiment on my part. You should do your own research and, see if it is your cup of tea, as they say. Now, I'm going to put some links in the description for the light paper, the rewards calculator, so you can check the numbers and the details for yourselves. Now, I love that our community is pretty savvy here, so I know that you guys will dig into all of this and ask the tough questions too. And of course, nothing's free in life. Even running the nodes on the phones will have some cost to it. The cost of the nodes, the electricity, the data, all those things. And results may vary, of course, depending on lots of different variables. Now, I've talked about Unity in past videos. Some of you are already up to speed. For those who aren't, consider this just a way of peeking into some of the experiments that I run behind the scenes. Actually, here is a fun fact as well. I did go a step further and buy a couple extra nodes. Now, with these nodes, I'm planning to lease the licenses out to members of the community who are curious about Unity, but don't want the hassle of having to deal with 200 devices for themselves. Kind of like splitting the costs and sharing the rewards, right? And of course, the risk of it too. Now, I'll have more information about how all that works down in our Discord for anyone who is interested. I figured that if I'm testing it, why not let some of you test it on a much smaller scale with me, right? Well, we're all here to learn and earn together, right? And our free educational Discord, the link is in the description below, is exactly the place where ideas like this get tossed around. So definitely go hop in there if you haven't done so already. It's a goldmine of shared experiences. All right, let's get back to the main storyline, stablecoins versus XRP. After absorbing all of these insights, here is where I landed. Stablecoins are not XRP's nemesis. They might actually be XRP's greatest ally in the longer run. The narrative of stablecoins will make XRP obsolete makes for a spicy headline and might try to get some attention drawn over to Solana, but the reality is actually more nuanced than that, and it takes, a little bit of digging, a little bit of education to actually get to it. Yes, stablecoins have exploded in popularity for very good reasons. They're easy to understand. A digital dollar is still a dollar, right? And they do solve some of the volatility problems for everyday transactions. But they do not solve the interoperability and liquidity problems on a global scale. Every major bank or country ends up with its own digital currency of some kind. If it does, then they're going to have more needs for bridges, not less. Now, it's like every city is building its own walled garden. Only you're going to need highways connecting them. Otherwise, we're just back to square one with siloed systems. XRP is built to be that highway, the bridge asset that links these different worlds together. And Ripple, the company, is smart. They're not going to fight the tide of stablecoins or CBDCs. In fact, they've just been courting governments and banks for many years, saying use our technology to issue your stablecoins or digital currencies, we'll make it easy. Now, if those end up being on the XRP ledger, even partially, it could supercharge the XRP ecosystem. Right? Picture a future where you have, let's say, a digital dollar and a digital euro both running on the XRPL. The swap one for the other, right? You could just use an order book or an automated market maker on the ledger, which likely involves XRP as the intermediary token for the liquidity. Now that is a win for XRP demand and utility. Let's not forget the regulatory backdrop here either. Right? Ripple fought a hard battle with the SEC. And while I won't rehash all of the whole entire saga here, it largely vindicated XRP as not being a security in many different contexts. Now, the US regulatory environment has been hostile in the past, and Paul Barron noted that, but things are slowly evolving over there, right? By focusing on real use cases like cross-border payments and now stablecoins and possibly CBDCs, Ripple is aligning with what regulators and big institutions are interested in. They're basically saying, we're here to upgrade the plumbing of the global financial system, and XRP is part of those pipes. Now, before we conclude, I do want to share one more personal practice of mine. Consider this a pro tip for anyone who is deep into crypto. Now, keep your options open with the exchanges. Now, over the years, I've learned that exchanges can go down fast, freeze withdrawals, or suddenly block users from certain regions. That is why I've signed up for KYC'd on and even tested a whole bunch of different exchanges that I trust. This is things from, Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, LBank, Blowfin, and BitGet, among many, many others. Now, I treat these like having plan A, plan B, plan C. If exchange A goes down or has an issue, I can move over to exchange B without scrambling at the last minute. This is a strategy that I swear by for risk management. By the way, if you do decide to broaden your exchange roster, like me, then I do have a link in the description down below to my website, where I list all of the exchanges that I do personally use. And those links to those exchanges on my website are affiliate links, which means if you use them to sign up to those exchanges, it supports the channel here and it doesn't cost you anything extra. But it lets me continue making content like this. Now, I always disclose this stuff, right? Because those links are affiliate links, which means I may earn a small commission from the exchange if you use them. And hey, recommended platforms are actually the ones that I do use. They are literally all of the exchanges that I have accounts on. So that's just transparency for the win here. And all of that brings me to a crucial point that I need to make. Something that every crypto content creator should tell their audience. And this one might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Phew, that was a bit of a mouthful, but I do hope that was crystal clear. Now, what is the takeaway from this whole adventure? Well, for me, it's that the crypto world isn't either or, right? It's actually almost never one coin to rule them all. It's an ecosystem, a puzzle where different pieces fit together in different ways. Stablecoins, they aren't here to kill XRP. They're here to fill a role, stable value transfer, right? That, in fact, complements XRP's role, liquidity and bridging, right? So Ripple's moves with RLUSD show that they're adapting and expanding. They're not abandoning. And the XRP community's insights on things like the Triffin dilemma, they show that there's actually a deeper strategy that's at play here. Now, I started this journey kind of worried about my XRP position, but I ended up more excited about XRP's future than before, right? Because if the world is heading towards a multitude of digital currencies, which it seems to be the trend, then a neutral bridge asset like XRP could not only be just relevant, but downright essential. And as an XRP holder, that is pretty awesome conclusion to arrive at. So the next time that someone confidently tweets stablecoins are making XRP useless, well, you'll know that there's more to the story than just Solana trying to grab some of the XRP attention, right? Now, in the wild ride that is crypto, remember to zoom out and see the bigger picture here, right? Solana is all about VCs and marketing at everyone else's expenses. I mean, just take a look at 2021, and their entire marketing campaign was that Solana is better than Cardano. It now looks like they're turning their attention to XRP in trying to throw some shade over XRP's community as well. So today it was XRP versus stablecoins. Tomorrow it might be something like blockchain Solana is better than blockchain Ripple, right? But often the reality is that they each need to, at least each other, I guess, to unlock the next kind of stage of adoption. Tribalism is your enemy here, not, collaboration. Anyway, my personal crypto journey and the experiments like Unity nodes all underscore one thing. Keep learning, keep testing, and don't fall for all of this BS from Solana's team without doing your own homework. Right, we're all early in this space, and being early means facing a little bit of uncertainty, some of the rumors, the FUD, and the drama. But it also means huge opportunities if you can separate the signals from the noise. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me on this deep dive. I hope that it shed some light on what's going on here and maybe put your mind at ease. If you were worried about XRP's fate, if you've enjoyed this story or even learned something new, well, you know what to do. Hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more of the crypto adventures and insights. It really does help the channel out, and it means that you won't miss what is coming next. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.